All right. It's good time to get going. Good evening. My name is Nir Moshkovsky. I'm the Group Program Management for Windows Azure Websites, and this is my colleague and compatriot, Chris Compy. Thank you for staying so late. We'll try to keep it interesting for you. What we'll go through today is an overview of new features with in Windows Azure Websites, and a little bit of the new management portal that was announced today. Before that, a little bit of housekeeping. This session is going to suck, but there's going to be two awesome sessions tomorrow. The first one is a deep dive that is done by David Ebo, which will go into kind of all the hidden nooks and crannies of websites, some features that are really great that you're going to see. A little bit of them will be surfaced today as well. And then later on in the day, Yocha is going to talk about high scale and how to build really big applications on Azure websites. Those of you who are interested in scalability will find this really interesting. Wow, I sound really godly in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Near
Cool.
from above.
Yes. So what we'll be covering today, like I said, this is a late hour, so we'll try to keep it light. We'll spend a lot of time on demos. I will spend a little bit of time of how we think about websites and what the team is kind of motivated around. And then we'll go through the announcements that came out today and how they relate to websites. And then we'll talk a little bit about Java, or a lot about Java. So like I said, not your typical presentation. This is my third year, I think, talking about websites. And every year I used to do the same thing. I'll have like 20 slides with market positions and what technologies we support. And I'd see everyone in the room falling asleep. So I decided to kind of do a presentation that I would want to watch and not that I would want to give. And we'll try to focus today on why we love websites and what we can do with it. Might be rough because we're all on a really preview beat, so be warned. So a little bit about kind of how we think about websites. So again, this is my attempt at having a nice graphic. But the pillars for us as a team, there's kind of really big two pillars. So the first thing is that we're in 3D. We're really high tech, and we drive developer delight. That's the kind of focus on this team. We have a lot of good pedigree around people from the ASP.NET team and people from IIS. And we really focus on doing the things that we think, as developers, will enjoy doing. So as you'll see later on in the presentation, I'm really a crappy dev. But I really think that what developers do is really cool. And we try to kind of weave that into our product. So obviously, we try to have as many languages as we can. You will see the Visual Studio integration and how it allows you to do a bunch of things, like create a new website from Visual Studio, browse the files remotely and things like that, and obviously a lot of publishing capabilities. We have the continuous integration through TFS and with GitHub that is very popular. I'll show the background tasks through web jobs, and I'm sure David will show more tomorrow. The staging environment allows us to test our code. And again, in my case, that's very important. Test our code before it goes to production. And lightning fast deployment, which has been kind of a staple of this product from day one, is the ability to deploy very fast and deploy deltas even faster. The other thing that we've realized is, you have to eat your broccoli before you get your ice cream. So very clever acronym here, Ensure Administrator Trust, is kind of the second pillar for us. Yeah, it's very clever, I know. It's the ability to make sure that people who are running these websites are happy with them and they can bet their business on that. So we spend a lot of energy on our SLA and on reliability and high availability, and we supply a bunch of features that allow us to make sure that applications are highly available as well. So you'll see live debugging today. I think tomorrow you'll probably see memory dump generation. We have this auto-healing feature that is well hidden but is documented that allows you to say, OK, I'll recycle a process when it gets hung up. So that's really helpful. So again, keep your app running. We have backup and restore that one was announced recently. Traffic Manager support that was there, I think, 2-3 weeks ago, but was announced today, allow you to create a fault-tolerant application by having two websites in two different, or the same website in two different regions, and setting up Traffic Manager to route the traffic. And we'll try and show that today as well. And then we have the SSL and custom domains that allow you to just build a website that is your own. And obviously, everything is built on reliability, security, and scale. So very strong platform built on top of Azure. We are now deployed in, I believe, 12 data centers, and we have about 35 scale units, maybe more, because we keep kind of turning them out every few weeks. So what did we announce today? These are kind of the specific things out of Scott's 40 announcements. You'll see the management experience as it relates to websites, and there's a bunch of sessions about that. The autoscale is now in GA. The exciting thing about autoscale, to me at least, is that until now, the heuristics for autoscale were only CPU. If your CPU is high, you can scale. We've added more heuristics. We added HTTP queue length, as well as your memory pressure. So that allows you to be a bit more granular about your autoscaling. The Java support is out in preview, and Chris will show a bunch of that. Traffic Manager support I talked about. VS 2013 Update 2 includes a bunch of new stuff. So when you create a new web application now, it will create a website automatically for you if you want to. And also we have remote file browsing, so you can actually go and see what files are on your website. And again, I'll show some of that. And then WebJobs SDK has been updated. I'll show that. WebJobs are a very exciting feature that allows you to run background tasks on websites, as well as with the SDK, you can do stuff like, obviously, very quickly unload messages from a storage queue, as well as see some message diagnostics. And again, I'll show some of that. So those were the things we were announcing. I think we have the wrong version of the slide. Two other things that were announced today are the basics queue. So there's a new SKU for websites that is basically 25% cheaper. So instead of 10 cents an hour is 7.5 cents an hour. And it supports a little bit less features than the standards queue. The standards queue is also being enhanced. So it allows for more memory. So until now, we gave you 10 GB of storage. We're going to give you 25 with standard, as well as free SSL connections. So I think that there was some mistake. The way Scott said it ended up looking on Twitter like we're giving SSL certs out. Unfortunately, we're not. What we're waiving the price for is the SSL connection, is the ability to upload an SSL cert and us managing the connection for you, or giving you a free IP address, basically, which is what we're going to do. So these are the two things that came out and should have made this slide. So what is this? This is the salad of awesomeness. So how many people have watched the Lego movie? All right, this is going to be a tough room because it's all jokes about the Lego movie tonight. Got to switch the whole script.
There goes half my material.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's going to suck. All right. So Chris and I, on our kind of free time for Microsoft, we love to build Lego kits. And we started a small business on the side called the Lego Guys. And what we do is we assemble Legos for people. So you pick the Lego that you want us to build, and Chris will build it for you, because I'm in management. But I wrote kind of the front-end website, and he did the hard work in the back end. So this is the architecture we have, right? So we have the Lego application on the laptop, of course, the website itself. There's a front-end website that runs the app. And then there's an Azure storage queue where we insert these orders, where orders come in. There's another site, which is an administrative site that runs the web job. So web jobs are interesting. You can run them on your front-end site, but you can have more isolation and run them on a different site. Then we're using our partnership with two other companies. We're using the partnership with SendGrid to send ourselves update emails when orders come in. And we're using our partnership with ClearDB to store the data in a MySQL database. And that's mostly, again, because MySQL is big with Java, because that's what I hear. So we decided to use MySQL. So this is kind of the architecture of what I'm going to show you. Again, it looks a bit confusing, but there's a lot of powerful functionality and powerful lessons we learned from building this. So at this point, I think we'll switch to the demo. Dum, dum, dum. Magic. Oh, great. No, it's fine. Don't break it. It's good. Cool. So you should be seeing the new Azure Preview portal. So I'll show it a little bit from the perspective of a website owner. So if I'll go ahead and browse, I'm going to browse my resource groups. So resource groups are a new construct that was introduced today that allows me basically to model an app both in this UX-y way or in the user experience as well as in a JSON file and then redeployed. And what we're seeing here is basically what Chris and I decided is to kind of wrap together our Lego guys experience, if you will. So it's showing me the websites that I have. It's showing me how much I'm paying for it. So I have a web hosting plan. Web hosting plan is a new concept that was unveiled today because it was actually in the product for a while. And that really represents the bundle of resources that I use, the amount of virtual machines that are running my sites, as well as all the features that are supporting it. Then I can go ahead and look at my websites. We can see that we have 3 websites right now. We have the Lego guys, which is the main site, and we have a staging branch for it, or a branch is a way to think about it. It's another site, but that's the site that we can use in order to test our code. And then we have the swap feature. And then we have the admin site that is empty right now, which we will use later on to implement our web job, if everything goes OK for us, right? So let's go ahead and look at the Lego guys site. So we can see that it's getting some heat. So thanks for this guy in the first row that I will not embarrass, who's been writing a script to drive some hits into the portal. So we're seeing some traffic and some sessions and so on. And we can also see the deployment slot that I have. That would be our staging environment. So at this point, I'm going to switch to Visual Studio. And here I have a very simple website that is based on, for those of you who are familiar with the gallery template or the bakery template in the template gallery in Web Matrix. So really not so sophisticated, but kind of my level, if you will. And this is the script that I embedded in order to get the app insights and the session information that you've seen in the portal. So very easy kind of way for us to see more business-specific telemetry, if you will, on your website. And now I'm going to go and make a simple change. So obviously, after the Lego movie came out, we're starting to see much more traffic on our site, so we decided to have a sale. There's a reason you're seeing all my emails, obviously. It's on purpose. Microsoft is open now, right? So the website is now on sale. And I'm going to go ahead and publish it to my staging environment. So I'm going to hit the Publish button. It's already pre-configured to see staging. And I'm going to hit Publish. And what we're doing now, we're running web deploy basically against the staging site. And as you notice, this is a .NET app, so there's a little bit of a lag. And you can see this is the staging URL. Obviously, the cool guy with the sunglasses is me, and Chris is the other guy on the left. So it's really representative of us. And what I'm going to do now is just put in an order for a town corner. So I leave it order 1, I guess. And guess what? I have an error. So this really sucks because, like I said, I'm really a crappy developer. But fortunately, Windows Azure website is really here to support me in my endeavor. So what I can do is basically go debug in the cloud. So I have a feeling that what I screwed up is the order handling file. As you can see, this is very simple code that just pushes stuff into Azure storage. And all I have to do is go to the staging branch. So basically, if we look on the left, what we're seeing is in the Server Explorer, I can see all of my Windows Azure assets. So again, super simple way for me to be able to manage and interact with my stuff in Azure without going to the portal when I'm doing my development stuff. And I can also see the files, right? So this is new with the update 2, is my ability to go and see all of the files inside the application. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and debug, attach a debugger. And what's going to do now, it's going to load the site again and attach a debugger to this session. So while it's taking a long time, I have some, I guess I can tell you a joke while it's loading, you know, to let the time pass. But the reason it takes a little bit of time is obviously because it's for real. And the other thing is that we're doing a lot of stuff. We have the debug code in the cloud, and we're starting to communicate with the client. So let's go ahead and buy a rescue helicopter. One day I'll learn how to spell Microsoft, right? Maybe if I work here for another 10 years. And now we see a breakpoint. So again, it's super kind of cheesy, but basically we're debugging up in the cloud now. I'll hit F10 to go to the next step. And I can see that this is, for some reason, taking a long time. And as I look at the line of code, I see I screwed up the connection string name, right? So it should have been connection string instead of connection string 1. And indeed, I hit the catch statement that shows us the error message. So fine, I found my bug. I can get out of the debugging session and go ahead and fix it. And then I'm going to go ahead and publish again. So maybe not terribly exciting to you guys, but obviously terribly exciting for us because we had to build all this stuff, is the ability to debug in the cloud, fix these things, and I did not fix them in my production site. My production is just fine. So now we're back in something that works. Let's try it again. We're going to place the order, and our order was successful. We got an order number. The other interesting thing I wanted to show you is we're using those Azure storage queues, and since I can use the Visual Studio to look at my Azure assets, I can see what's in the queue right now. So we can see several messages, obviously, from the previous dry runs. And we're seeing this message that just came in right now. So this is the try to. So again, very simple, but we just built a website, we debugged it in the cloud, and we're able to send these messages, and now all we need to do is pick them up in order to do order fulfillment. So the next step would be for us to build a web job. So web jobs for the rescue. So now we're going to build a site that actually processes these messages, sends the email, and inserts the data into the MySQL database. So I'll switch to the different project in Visual Studio. So this is my admin site. So basically, all it is a shell that launches some administrative UX that I'll show you in a second that runs a web job. Web jobs are essentially console applications that runs inside the context of my website. And they use convention for their location. So as long as you put stuff under app data jobs, and if you want them to run on the time you put them in the continuous folder, Windows Azure websites will launch them for you, and they'll start running as soon as the site starts working. The code is also super simple. We're using the Azure SDK, the Windows Azure Web Jobs SDK. And basically, all I had to do is, again, include the jobs. And it's very simple. Because that's as much as I can handle. And then we implement the process message routine. I have or function. I have the name of the input queue that comes from my configuration file, and I'm off to the races. I just deserialize the JSON, and then I send it to SendGrid to send the email, and I send it to MySQL to be saved. So very, very simple code. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and publish this. So we don't have a publishing profile set up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go pick which website I want to publish it to. So what I'm doing is, again, I'm having Visual Studio talk to the backend APIs of Azure websites to look at which websites belong to my subscription. And I'm going to pick the Lego Guys admin website and go ahead and hit publish. So the publish settings are downloaded. This is essentially a text file that includes a special set of credentials that are used for publishing with web deploy and FTP. And I'll hit the publish button. So what we're going to start seeing now, so remember what happened. We just uploaded this web job, and it's going to start running in the background. So hopefully we'll start seeing mails from the Lego guys as we talk, and not just my boring office emails. But another interesting thing that we're seeing now is what we call the best-kept secrets of Windows Azure website, or best-kept secret. This is what we call the Kudu console. It's a collection of, oh, there's the Lego guys email. Woo! So here's our order, and apparently it's been shipped, getting spammed with all of these orders that we just bought. So these are the things we've seen in the Azure queue, essentially got picked up by the web job, and using SendGrid were sent to us. So I personally am very relieved to see those emails, but I see the audience is not impressed. But, yeah. We'll go with this. What do you have to do today? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. OK, so what we're seeing now is the Kudu console. That's a collection of kind of administrative tools that are really useful to website developers. Again, David will, tomorrow morning, will probably go through most of them in details. But there's a very useful thing, the debug console, that allows me to see all the files. There's a process explorer that essentially will show me what processes are running and how much memory they take up, and so on. I can generate memory dump. I can see my logs. I can create webhooks that will essentially execute scripts after my deployment is completed. And we have the web extension gallery. So site extensions are also very exciting functionality. They allow us to essentially run software in an administrative mode, if you will. We can install these applications, and they will run in a secured part of our website and allow us to do all these administrative tasks. So for example, remember I told you the database for this application is in MySQL, and we had one of our MVPs create essentially a site extension for PHP MyAdmin, which is, as I'm sure all of you know, is a way to manage manage MySQL databases as a PHP website. So it's installing. Let's see if this will crash or not. Wow. The demo is going much better for me today than the dry run. So we installed it. We restarted the site. And now we have it up and running. And I can go ahead, basically, and execute it. So, yeah. Come on, you can do it. You got it. OK, so so what I can do now, this is really the stuff that we use kind of in the product team to manage our own sites, right? So I can do now, I can look at the database where all these orders came into. So again, what I showed you up until now is the ability to create the background jobs, the ability to create site extensions that manage data for me, and so on. And then a different way to use web jobs by having them on a separate site that is easy, that is not the same as the front end, and allow us to do some isolation. Last thing I wanted to show real quick is the job log. And basically, this URL is available in the what we call the vCurrent website. So the current administrative website for Azure, it did not make it into the preview portal. So I try to not show the existing website as much as I can. So I just pasted this URL here. But that shows us basically all these messages that we've been through. Obviously, we've had many of them because we've been practicing the demo. And I can go in there and essentially see the payload. And I can see that it was successful. And if I want to debug or something like that, I can go ahead and replay the message. So let's hit the replay button. And it's going to go ahead and queue it. And then our executable will pick it up and send us another email and insert another record into MySQL when it's ready. OK, there you go. It's successful. So again, this comes free with the WebJobs SDK. So a good reason to use the WebJobs SDK. And it allows you to kind of manage these things. Now, the good news is that WebJobs SDK is only in alpha, so I'm sure there's going to be much more goodness coming down the pike. Thank you. English as a second language, coming down the pike as things progress. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Chris to talk about the next stage in our journey, which is creating the Java application that consumes the data, since he does all the work here for really. I think we need to switch back to the slides. Thank you. That was our demo, and go ahead, Java.
Thank you. Thank you, Nir. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out this evening. It's my great pleasure to talk about Java on Azure websites. I'm really excited about this feature. It has a lot of value added for Azure. At the very least, I can now buy a cup of coffee without paying $35 for it. That's a Lego movie joke. But,
yeah, I told you, we shouldn't do
no
the
more
Lego
of
movie
those.
anymore.
Those are dead.
Yeah.
All right. But seriously, I am excited. Getting Java onto Azure websites is a big deal. Whether or not you like Java, it still is a very popular language. About half the developers out there have to work with Java in one form or another. It's a very popular language in the educational system. I know my kids have been taught Java in high school, and they think they can develop now. It's so cute. It's also very popular to the internet. There's a lot of ecosystem applications that are built on Java that we use and depend on every day. Hadoop for one, Lucene is another. Both of these have been talked about at this conference, and they're on Java. And lastly, there's the enterprise. The enterprise has a large amount of Java applications that they use. They've been built in-house, or they've been bought from contracting firms, but they're essential to the workings of their business. Now that we have Azure Websites support for Java, we can hopefully host many of these applications for these companies. So the feature that we are providing actually has three user aspects. The first aspect is manifested in the configuration interface for a website. From there, you can select the version of Java that you want to use, and then select the web container that you need to use with it, that you want to use with it. This is wonderful for customers who have WAR application-based files WAR file-based applications that they wish to upload and run in websites. For those of you not familiar with Java, a WAR is essentially a zip of your Java code and supporting libraries, supporting information. This feature has the supporting Tomcat and Jetty web servers hosted inside our program files. So that is to say, it doesn't take up space in your disk quota. It's in our program file space. The next form of the feature is from the application gallery. Again, we have Tomcat and Jetty available from the app gallery. We hope to add other Java-based applications to the app gallery, but right now we have Tomcat and Jetty. Now, the difference between this and what we have in the config UI is that in this case, you have the complete install of Tomcat and the complete install of Jetty laid down inside your disk space. You can manipulate the configuration, you can change out the libraries, you can manipulate it to your heart's content. It's yours to play with. And finally, the last form is that you can upload your own Java code. You can have your own POJO application, plain old Java object-based application, your enterprise app, and you can upload this and run it in Azure websites. We've tested and tried out this feature with several applications, including but not limited to, Magnolia, which is an enterprise CMS system. LifeRay, which is another CMS system that supports portlets. Portlets are draggable UI, web UI elements. And Jira, Atlassian Jira, which is a very popular bug tracking system. And the last one I'm going to note is Hudson. Hudson is a build system. So get that. We have a Java-based build system for building Java apps capable of running in Azure websites. That's pretty cool. One interesting thing about running a build system, though, is that it needs to stay up all the time. So while this was able to run fine in a free tier, you wouldn't want to do that. You would want to take advantage of a feature called Always On that we have for our dedicated tiers. This isn't something that's Java specific. It's something you could enable for any website. And it would allow you to say, I want my website to stay up all the time, which is perfect for something like Hudson. Last but not least, you also have the ability to change out the JVM. So we have Java 7, this is the Oracle Java 7, available inside our program files, and your environmental variables are set to point to it. We also have the 32-bit and the 64-bit versions available of Java 7 051. But let's say you had an old Tomcat 6-based application that uses Java 6, or maybe you just want to try out Java 8 because we don't have it available and you want to upload it to websites. You can do that. To manipulate your environmental, it's a long word, environmental variables, we have web config instructions on how to do that. And these instructions are available today on the documentation site. In fact, from the default page, we have links that'll take you to it. So how this all works. Well, we have a very complicated picture here. We basically are redirecting all the HTTP traffic to your Java process. Sounds pretty simple. Took a lot more work than just that, but in essence, when you have Java enabled, you're not using the IIS-based technology stack. So you're not going to have PHP and Python and ASP.NET mixed with Java. When you have Java set, you're sending all of your traffic to your Java application. All right, so now we're going to jump back into trying to process some of these orders. So let's see if you could hit number 2. Yep. I think it's the...
This one?
Yeah.
OK. So
almost. Not quite.
Yep.
Oh. It doesn't believe me.
No.
Can you see this?
Folks
hey,
in the back.
There we go.
Oh, OK.
Cool.
No, that's mine. Is it? Yep.
Oh.
Still me.
Technical trouble.
Yes. Hello?
Do we hit 2?
Yeah.
Close your eyes. Nobody's here.
Yeah.
You want this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Should be it.
We did that.
It's in 2. It's in 2. Pablo, talk to me.
Well, we can try to... Why don't we do this ghetto? I can yank out the cable and...
F1.
No.
Should I try just swapping the cable?
Keep going, guys.
All right. Here.
Right.
Let's
No.
just yank it.
We're trying to go.
You want to try before I pull it?
It's not up. That should be there.
All right. Cool. I did try to pray to the demo gods, but
Well, if that's the only problem we're having,
You wanna
yeah.
we're doing good. Huh?
Is there some other part of this demo you could do while we get that going for you?
Nobody wants to hear me sing, so
We'll just wait for a second. I guess some people
We'd
do want to
lose-
hear you sing.
we'd lose everybody. I could try talking from Monty Python.
Let's go.
Neat. I would try to use the Lego jokes, but you know.
Do it.
Lego jokes?
There you go.
All right.
Thank you very much. All right.
Thanks, guys. I hope we can get it back.
Yeah, now we have to get it back in 2 minutes.
All right. So let's jump into the demo, and if that's the least of it, then sweet. So we're going to start off with making a website in this spiffy new portal. Now, you've seen this before, I think. Have they? make a website. So I'm making a website in the new preview portal. We're going to call this one Orders for Lego. Nobody has it. It's mine now. And what's happening behind the scenes from this portal is the same as what happened with the old portal for any website. It's creating a website. It's instantiated on one of our workers. And at this point, it doesn't know anything about Java. There's nothing Java enabled on it. It's simply almost a website.
It's kind of hypnotic, right?
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's a spider web
No.
or, oh, there we go.
There you go.
All right, cool. So just to prove that, you know, it's not a Java site, nothing up my sleeves. So this is the new parking page. Hope you guys like blue. It's a pretty page.
Because we had dark blue before that. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
It was very dark. And now we're going to scroll down and set the configuration for Java. So configuration is tucked over here, so it doesn't get in the way. All right. So right now, as noted, you set the version of Java you want. And we only have one version of Java today, but we will be adding to it. When Java 8 stabilizes or we feel comfortable, we'll put it in here. And from here, I also have the bitness of, the web container I wish to use. So in this case, I'm going to use Tomcat. You'll notice that when I selected Java, that the .NET and PHP versions all were grayed out. That's because when you're switching on Java, you're not going to be using those. So we'll go ahead and save. And at this point, it's updating configuration behind the scenes. The website is being told that it's now a Tomcat site. And at this point, the index.jsp, I said those, JSP, is being put down in my website. So, oh, they already saw the Pet Store app, so this isn't going to be the first time that they've seen a Java app
in the
on
keynote.
Azure websites.
Yeah.
I forgot. Stole my thunder. I'm going to have a talk. And it didn't believe me. It's reloading. All right, very good. Excellent. And just like that, I have a Java-based website. This is a Tomcat site. The values you're seeing here are being echoed by the JSP. And to tell me more actually takes you to information on getting started with Azure websites in Java. So cool. All right. Now we're going to go and do the Kudu page. Now, this is a brand new website, and so my browser doesn't know what my credentials are. But when you're going to the Kudu page, you need to set your deployment credentials, if you haven't already, to something that you're going to be able to remember and type. So I already have mine set, but it's really as simple as entering the name you want to use and your password. So at this point, I'm going to type in SCM.
So my credentials were cached when you saw me addressing that, getting into the same page.
Right. Now, the credentials that you set are not only for your website. They're across all of your websites. So the reason my browser doesn't know is because it never saw this URL, of course, before. But once I've set it for one time, I can reuse that for all of my websites, which I find convenient. So we're going to go, let me jump into real quick about deployment. So for Java, you can deploy the same as you can for anything else in Azure websites. You're probably not going to have too much market for a web deploy out of Visual Studios for your Java applications, but I'm sure at some point somebody will try something. Git works, FTP works, and we're going to do something that I really enjoy, which is use Kudu to simply drag and drop. So from Kudu, and hopefully, Dave, I'm not stealing your thunder for tomorrow, we're going to jump into the site, www.root, and the web apps directory. Now, the reason we have a web apps directory is for those who've worked in Tomcat or those who've worked in Jetty, the web apps directory is your very familiar location that you would drop your WAR files. So we wanted to make sure that the experience was natural. And like that. That's pretty cool. Thank you. I'm going to have to throw dollar bills.
Yeah, I think so. I didn't bring some
You
cash.
know,
Yeah.
next time, beer.
Yep.
So next time I want applause, I'll say beer. All right, just like that, It was uploaded. Tomcat, in this case, is pre-configured to detect a war that's newer than the exploded directory that it has. And you can disable it. If you want to pull down the one from the app gallery and disable it, you can do so. And for large applications, it makes good sense to do that. But this application is small enough to where this works cool. So it has already loaded the war file, and boom, just like that. Order fulfillment. All right, I don't want anybody else fulfilling my orders. So this job application pulls the information out of the MySQL database, gives me a UI that I can then, note progress on the different orders. And then when I want to notify the customer, it puts a message on the queue for the customer to get a mail message. So I appear to have done a pretty good job, except for an inability to spell. So I can code, but I can't write.
Well, you can assemble Legos, I hope.
I
have a lot
yes.
of orders, though. Yeah.
There are a lot of kids in the neighborhood
Yes.
who I am just going to... I think that's illegal.
Yep. It is illegal.
Thank God I didn't say that out loud. All right, so we're going to do a quick little edit here, not because editing something like that is very mind-blowing, but I'm going to show some of the process flow. So this is Eclipse. Those of you who haven't used it, it's a Java IDE it's a Java IDE. And what I have here in front of you is a segment of the Azure Java SDK. So I noted a moment ago that we are putting messages on the queue. And to do this, I cut and paste the code that they say to use, and I dropped it in. I mean, I didn't have to change anything other than the name of the queue. It was, honest to God, that simple. So I'm going to even prove it. So maybe I'm just a lazy developer. So,
Oh, your fingers are tired from assembling Legos.
oh, there is that. Crinkle. So here's the code that they have online to advise you how to add a message to a queue. And here is the rather small font that probably nobody can read. Demo fail. That's close enough. Anyhow, copy and paste. So the point here is just to highlight how easy it is to consume Azure services using the Azure Java SDK. That's pretty powerful. And this is a simple case, but everything else is pretty easy. It's awesome. So, again, a reference to the Lego movie. I swear.
Yeah, just stop it.
I know, but they should have, done that instead of, who's this guy, Captain America? Don't know. All right, so let's go fix the typo. The only real point to change the typo is to show that I made an update, and it really was that easy to make a change. So there I've made my change. I've saved it. I'm going to export the war. And done. And now let's go back to our drag and drop experience. You can see it upload. And detect. Come on. There it goes. Excellent. And browse the site. And don't look. Ah, there. Everything is awesome.
Yes, it is.
All right. So let me prove it. I'm proving it.
Yep.
Excellent. Ta-da. All right. Excellent. Well,
Good job.
I've got a lot of Legos to put together now.
Yeah, so you're going to turn it back to me?
I'm going to give it back
Well,
to
good
you.
luck- good luck with your
I'm going
Legos.
to try to give it back to you.
Oh, okay. No, so we're going to switch back to the PowerPoint. Cool. All right, so we've seen the Java, building the Java portion of the demo. Another quick salad of awesomeness, and then we'll go for the last part. So obviously, because of the Lego movie that other people have watched, not anyone in this room, we have a lot of traffic. And we've noticing a lot of traffic coming from Europe. So at that point, we decided to have another node for our website in Europe. But we don't want to synchronize the code all the time, right? We want to basically make sure that if we make a change to our main node in the US, the changes will go out there. So what I'm going to show now is some kind of an experimental project that we call a Site Replicator that uses web deploy basically to synchronize content. So let's switch to 1 and go. Wow, that worked. Awesome. All right. So while Chris was talking, I created a new website. That's going to be the Lego Guys EU. But before that, I was going to show you how traffic is going on our current website. So I'll go and browse for websites here. And again, the preview portal allows me to kind of navigate easily between these things. And let's go to the Lego Guys in North Central US. That's our main site, if you will. And you know, we've been seeing all this traffic. And if you remember, you probably don't, I didn't highlight it, I have a lot of trace comments in my code. So I use the .NET diagnostic API, just using trace.information, write information, to write a bunch of logs into the system, and especially what kind of traffic is coming in. So Azure Website has the streaming log features, the streaming logs feature, that is accessible to many places. We can see it in the Kudu console. I think there's a command line capability to do it. I was very kind of passionate about this feature because Heroku has it, and I had to have it, so thank you, David, for building it for me. But we can see there's a lot of traffic coming in from our fancy robot script that is running over in Europe and in the US. So we can see all this traffic coming in, and we really decided that it's time for us to go international. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set up the replicator site extension. So we're using the same mechanism of site extensions that we've seen with the PHP MySQL. So in order to do that, I need to download the publishing profile for this new site, for the European site. I'll hit save, and now it's down in my download folder. I'll go back to our main site, and I'll go to the extension, to the SCM endpoint. And now we're going to install the replicator extension. So this is a very simple .NET application that essentially uses web deploy to synchronize content between the master site and the slave sites, if you will, that we just uploaded, where we upload the publishing profile. So again, my lame attempt at HTML development, which I'm very proud of. We browse for the file. I know I could have done a drag and drop. And then you notice the Lego Guys site, the master site is here in the States. And we'll hit this button. And I guess the second one is also in the States, so they showed up on top of each other. Great. This time I screwed up my own demo. Yeah.
They moved Europe.
Yes, they moved Europe. Fascinating. Yeah, Lego Guys EU. No, it's not in Europe. So I think we can still make the point. While it's synchronizing the content, I wanted to show you a couple of other things on the portal. I think there's two main things that are new to websites that we wanted to make sure people see. One is the app gallery. So for those of you who are familiar with websites, we've been working with a lot of teams and companies in the community to make sure we have the latest and greatest applications that are available. We also made a push to make sure that we have some frameworks and sample apps. So we have the stuff for, we have Django and so on, and Flask for Python. We have the PHP stuff. We're going to see some Java stuff showing up pretty soon. And we keep working with kind of the top CMS providers. This is going to keep going with the new resource manager that was announced today. It's much easier to author these packages. and make them more useful and actually more monetizable for app developers, because now you can actually bundle them with other Azure services. The other thing I was wanting to make sure people see is our new plan. So when I go ahead and create a new website, and I pick the plan, I see this wonderfully colorful screen, but that actually allows me to control better what type of SKU I'm getting and what features come with that SKU. So for example, right now the default is small. This is the standard SKU that, like I said, we've enhanced a little bit. And we have the basic SKU that is cheaper but has some of the same capabilities. So when we talk about the basic SKU, we're talking about a way to build a web app that allows you to get started. If you need to scale higher, you can go to standard. And obviously, we still have the existing 2 tiers of free and shared that just have less functionality and are obviously, in the case of free, are as cheap as they can get. I guess we can pay people back to using our websites a bit cheaper. So I wanted to show this couple of things. So just to kind of finish with the replication demo here, we basically had a site running. We have a site that is running here in the US.
And the other in fake Europe.
And the other in fake Europe in Chicago. So this is the one, as you can see, the Lego guys. And then we'll go back here and, again, find our websites very quickly. In the Lego guys EU. And if I browse to this site, it's going to have the same content. No, I guess not. So when you screw up something, you screw it up completely.
You know,
right?
They moved Europe, they moved it good.
Yes. Anyhow, imagine that worked. So the only thing that was under my control didn't work out, right? So, oh well. The last thing I wanted to make sure people see is the traffic manager integration. So basically, there's a bunch of features that have not made it into the preview portal yet. What you can do is you can essentially hit these buttons that will be available to kind of deep link you into these things. So this has the single sign-on, and it will take me directly into the traffic manager screen. So I can create a new traffic manager profile. The things I wanted to highlight here are the algorithms that are supported by a traffic manager. We have performance, which means your traffic will go to the closest site physically to you. We have round robin, which is basically kind of a performance load balancing thing. And then we have failover, which means basically if a site dies in one data center, it's going to go to the next one. So Traffic Manager has been around for a while, but it's now supporting websites. So we can create a new Traffic Manager profile. And configure the endpoints. So at this point, websites are supported. And as you can, as you notice, basically, we can only do, there's a couple of restrictions there. One, it only works for standard instances and app. The other thing is that it only supports load balancing between 2 data centers. Since Azure Websites has its own load balancing and its own fault tolerance for existing stamps, we only allow this between 2 different stamps. So I can do the Lego guys here, and the Lego guys in Europe, and hit OK. And at this point, it's going to create the traffic manager rule. So since I screwed up the replication, there's kind of no point of seeing this demo to fruition. But essentially, what's going to be created now is an endpoint that then I can go CNAME that points to these 2 data centers. So at this point, I think we'll go back to the slides. So what we've seen is the ability to create 2 websites, to replicate them, and then the ability to create a traffic manager rule that, that will route traffic between 2 copies of the same site. Oh, I need this guy. That was the somewhat demo that we just did. And I just wanted to kind of reiterate what we've seen today. So essentially, the team will keep investing in developer features. Obviously, we will have to make sure that we test our stuff, like the site replication, but it's because I wrote it. But we'll keep seeing these features coming out. We typically release stuff every 3 to 6 weeks, and you'll keep seeing us building new stuff, and it will all be kind of announced on the Azure blog. And then we're going to keep making sure that we're available in all new data centers of Azure, and that we keep having these features and this guarantee for high availability. So at this point, we'll open it up for questions. No? Time for dinner? I sympathize.
I think it's happy hour.
Oh, you have a question from the fake audience?
I think you must have picked the wrong publish profile.
Yeah, yeah.
You can still show it.
That's fine.
Well,
Going once, going twice.
all right. Well,
All right.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.